Hello, Leo. Welcome to Aries season. This is your embodied astrology horoscope for the span of time between March 20th and April 19th in 2025. My name is Renee. This reading is a general reading for Leo identified people that includes sun, moon, rising in Leo, and everybody has Leo in their chart. So if you know what house Leo rules in your chart, or if you know any planets or placements you have in Leo, tune in with those influences, with those ideas. Take what works, leave the rest. And as we tune in with your reading for Aries season, this is not meant to be a predictive reading. It is meant to provide you with a little bit of a map for the energetic potentials coming up and what areas of life might be resonating in certain kinds of frequencies. I'm going to do my best to offer some embodied awareness and somatic tools, ways to work with your breath, your felt sense, your somatic or physical awareness to keep you centered with your highest potential and also with your strengths and with your skills in times of challenge. All right, Leo. Aries season is exciting for the fire signs, and Leo is a fire sign, so Aries season feels pretty exciting for you. Over the last 16 years, there have been predominant influences in earth and water. And in 2025, the predominant influences for the outer planets are shifting into fire and air. 2025 is a year of transition, and 2026 really gets us into this new landscape. But for the fire signs, this is exciting. This is energizing. This is motivating. This is the end of a really long period of time that has brought a lot of challenges, honestly, to the fire element. And these are necessary challenges. You have learned a lot. You have grown a lot. You have really deepened in your capacities, your integrity, your self-knowing. And there have also been a lot of limitations, and you've really had to work through a lot of things. And I think that Leo has really had to work through a lot of things. And these last 16 years have been pretty freaking hard in certain moments. And a lot of us have been held within a lot of limitations, including the ones that we've made for ourselves. And in 2025, things are about to change. And the ways that we are able to work with the lessons that we have learned and honor the awareness that we have now of limitations and how to work with them will really help us move into this new chapter. Okay, Leo, so let's start off with a little bit of embodied awareness around Aries energy and how Aries energy also manifests with Leo and Leo's energetic potentials. So the fire signs in general resonate with the central axis. Aries rules the head, Leo rules the heart, and Sagittarius rules the hips. And our central axis is the place that we orient to our sense of self. Now, self-actualization is the goal for the fire triplicity. Aries helps us to feel that we exist at all. The motto for Aries is, I am. Leos, we are about personal expression and self-actualization, and that means really embodying our full potential, our creative potential, being who we are, being out, being proud about it, being joyful about it, celebrating it. Leo is a sign that is exalted when we are playful and when we really are connecting with the truth of our authentic spirit. Sagittarius has a lot to do with our beliefs and philosophies and what we really know to be our inner truth. Now, Aries, as I mentioned, it rules the head. It has a lot to do with the I feeling. And so when you say your name, or when you use the first person pronoun, I, me, mine, my, there's a particular kind of feeling that corresponds with those articulations. And that kind of feeling is a centering. There's an ownership around the I feeling. And when the I feeling gets excessive, and excess can happen in ways that feel pleasurable and in ways that don't. But it can happen when we're engaged around especially what we want and what we don't want. So attraction and aversion, fight, flight, passion, the things that like really get us motivated. That kind of I feeling, when it becomes excessive, can manifest as hastiness, as urgency, as arrogance and egotism, as a lack of thoughtfulness and a lack of relationality or awareness of the general environment, and therefore actions, behaviors, decisions, ways of being that can be not only harmful and disruptive to others and to the environment that we share, but really deeply to ourselves, because we aren't taking care of one of our fundamental needs, which happens to be relationships and other people and an environment that takes care of us. So over the course of Aries season and over the next 13 years, because we are entering into a cycle of Neptune in Aries, it's going to take us until 2038. Leos want to be really attentive to the times, the places, and the circumstances that bring about a kind of excess of I-ness, of I energy. And in particular, because of where Aries lives in the Leo charts, this sense of I-ness, when it comes to faith, religion, spirituality, personal philosophies, judgment about others or about the world, is something that we really want to keep in check. Now, I don't know what kind of Leo you are, but I know what kind of Leo I am. Hey, friends. Hey, fellow pride. I know that I can be an opinionated bitch. Like sometimes I think what I think, and I think I know what I know, and I feel it strongly. And sometimes I'm right, and a lot of times I don't really have the whole truth. And being able to regulate myself in moments of really strong conviction is a skill that I am a devoted and humble student of, and really trying to cultivate. And I want to invite you to join me in that as well. And I think probably a lot of us are working on similar things. Aries lives in our solar 9th house, and the 9th house is about the ideals that we have for our lives and the world. It is the place of truth. It is the place of seeking. It is a place that resonates very deeply with faith practices, with religion, with spirituality, with philosophies of all kinds, with moralism, with judgment. And it's a place that when Aries energy gets excessive, can breed the worst type of Leo energy. And I don't think that any of us are these kinds of Leos or these kinds of Leos all the time, but all of us have these potentials. And so this is the potential to be totally arrogant, self-centered, bombastic, not at all thoughtful about other people's existence or needs, and really like taking up all the space with ourselves. And that kind of vibe is not the vibe for us. That's not the vibe that's going to help us out in the future or in the present. And it probably did not help us in the past in any moments when that was the vibe that was coming through us. That's not to say that we need to be small, quiet, insecure, scared people pleasers. It's not to say that we can't be bold and opinionated and live out loud and large. It's just to say that we need to be able to regulate and balance our own energy. And most of all, we need to remember and be able to live in ways that really honor the multitudes of existence that we share our lives with. And when we can really, truly take care of ourselves, we can also truly take care of others. And so as we enter into Aries season, Aries ruler Mars is currently in the sign Cancer. That's the sign before Leo. But over the course of Aries season, Mars is leaving Cancer, and by the very end of the season, will have entered Leo. Now, Mars had a long retrograde earlier in the year that actually started at the end of 2024. And it was in Leo last year, and it will be returning now. And over these last many months of Mars retrograde, a lot of Leos have been in some kind of process around working with sensitivity, working with awareness of relationship, and working in this kind of subtle in-between space of sensing where we end and others begin, and how our energetic influences and impacts interpermeate with one another. And I think that a lot of Leos are really feeling the need to actually be more bold, be more confident, and be more courageous, particularly when it comes to expressing personal truth in ways that allow us to liberate ourselves from relational dynamics where we were not being honest and truthful. And in particular, I'm going to say that these relational dynamics are ones that have been shaped by the term that's coming up for me is a term that's often given to the 12th house, which is where Mars is as we move into Aries season, hidden enemies. So hidden enemies, especially for Leos, are insecurities. They are like shadow figments. They are fears about what's going on for other people. They are sensitivities that are not mature. So this is where we catch vibes and we aren't going through some kind of process of linking our body and our brain. So it's like we're feeling a kind of way and then immediately starting to tell a story about it and then starting to act a kind of way. And for most of us, the biggest enemy that we face is ourselves. And that is the enemy of self-doubt. It's the enemy of lack of integration. It is the enemy of fear. It's the enemy of like unconscious, unmetabolized, unprocessed competition or envy or judgment, or the ways that we get like hung up on invisible things with other people and definitely with ourselves. And this place in our charts is also a place of profound empathy and psychic intuitive awareness, deep, deep compassion and sensitivity. And Leos are really intuitive people. We have water placements in the most intuitive places in the charts. I think Leos are one of the most underrated intuitive signs. We're not, one of the signs that you read about necessarily as like the intuitives, but a lot of Leos are very, very intuitive. And this is what makes us great actors and like, on stage, right? So to be a good performer, you actually have to be able to feel the room, like feel the vibe. Leos tend to be very expressive and gregarious, but often what we're doing is like tapping into what is unspoken or unexpressed in others and trying to draw that out. Leo in its high vibration manifestation is all about love. It is all about the radiant, innocent joyfulness of a childlike spirit that is not caught up on, all kinds of junk in the mental space. It's not caught up on all kinds of like adult analysis about all kinds of things, but is actually just here ready to play and express love and warmth and enthusiasm. Obviously, as we age and move through a world that does require maturation and nuance, we need to be disciplined. We need to be discerning. We need to figure out how and where to leverage our energy and our sensitivity. And I think that this Mars retrograde has really been asking this of Leos. And so a lot of us are coming into Aries season with an increased sense of clarity around who we are, what we stand for, what we want, and how we want to move towards it. And this is giving us the energy to be bold, to be courageous, to be charismatic, to let go of fear and actually really chart our own course for our lives in some kind of way. So when we enter into Aries season, and because this year is opening up so much new Aries energy with Neptune and Saturn both moving into Aries, and this then is beginning longer 3 and 13-year cycles, we really want to get to know this feeling of when does Aries get imbalanced? And And how do we work with it? So Aries gets imbalanced when we get stuck in the I feeling. And the I feeling resonates in the head and the forehead and the eyes. And so there are physical somatic cues that could include a furrowing of the brow, right? Like these lines coming up between your eyebrows. It could include the energy in your eyeballs themselves becoming narrowed and hardened and maybe even kind of aggressive. There can be actual vibratory qualities of competition or mistrust or judgment that radiate out of the eyes. There can be a feeling of lots of energy in the upper frontal part of the head, in the part of our brains that are trying to see what step to take next, and they get really controlling and want to figure out how to do all the things. When you feel hot-headed, when you feel urgent, when you feel hasty, these are all huge red flags. Slow down. Slow down. And one of the hardest times to recognize these kinds of energetic patterns is when they feel good. So yes, these energetic patterns can come up when we're angry and competitive and feeling threatened and in survival mode. But these energetic patterns also come up when we're highly enthusiastic and when we're deeply convinced about our own belief and when we have some huge new idea and we're absolutely sure that this is the best idea. So when these feelings of heat and buoyancy and a lot of momentum enter the body, it's not that we want to suppress them, okay? We don't need to be scared of them. But we do want to work with them in ways that are balanced and help ourselves not make things worse in our lives or in the world by acting with unchecked energy. One great way to do this is by tuning in with Aries' opposite sign through the body, and this is Libra. And if you bring your arms behind your back, like you can just set your forearms behind your back, or if your shoulders will allow it, you can use your palms to touch your low back. Your kidneys are at the right and the left sides of your spine. Lots of people have two. Some people just have one. Around the height of your lower ribs, kind of your waistline area. Your kidneys are connected with your adrenal glands. They're on top of your kidneys. And this area of your body is governed by Libra in the language of medical and embodied astrology. You can breathe into your back. Your lungs actually descend almost the entire way down. So feel your lower ribs on the backside and they go quite low. So try this with me. Try taking a breath and really trying to breathe into your back body. And then as you exhale, smooth out your exhale and maybe even elongate it a little bit. And one way to do that is by pretending you're blowing out a straw. And then if it's comfortable for you to breathe through your nose, you can inhale through your nose and try and actually feel the passage of breath as it comes up into your nostrils, and let that sensation help you relax your brain. Relax your eyes. And then as you exhale, feel the movement of your breath down into the earth. Okay, just notice how you feel after just those two breaths. So in the first breath, we breathed into the Libra part of the body. And in the second breath, we breathed into the Aries part of the body. And in this style of breathing, you can calm down, you can regulate, you can balance your energy, and you can also pacify excessive Aries energy, which we could also say is excessive self energy. And the self energy again gets activated when we are feeling threatened, when we're feeling passionate, and when we are really organizing around something that is ultimately egotistical. It is about ourselves, our sense of self. Now, Leo, you're in an interesting kind of space because you really need to follow your inner truth right now and your inner guidance. And your sense of self is actually asking you to get to know it better and expand inside of it. But like I said a little while ago, you don't exist without everything else, without everybody else. And so when you are thinking about your sense of self, if you could breathe into your back body and include all who you are related with, and that is, everybody and everything. So the birds, the bees, the flowers and the trees, the elements, all of the ancestors, so many who you don't know their names, who knows, who, what, where, you're still related. Your body is 60% water. Water circulates throughout the planet into everyone who needs water. You have to breathe to be alive. Air circulates throughout the planet for everybody who breathes. Your life is a gift that has been given by multitudes. And you, as the steward of your own life, as the occupant of your own body, are also here working in collaboration with multitudes. And so one of the best ways for you to get to know yourself and to really tune in with the ways that your self wants to expand in Aries season and beyond is by meditating inside of your interconnections and really practicing in a reverent kind of way, honoring those interconnections. And this might look like rituals, this might look like prayer, this might look like poetry or making art, this might feel like just gratitude and actually just spending a breath or three every day, giving thanks for the sun and the air and your body and other people, and non-people, living beings. But the more that you can feel the ways that you are connected in many different directions, the more stable you become in your individual connections and in your hypothetical connections. What do I mean by this? So a while ago, I was talking about your hidden enemies, insecurities, all the kind of stuff that happens when we pick up vibes. Those feelings, when they overtake Leo, can be incredibly isolating, and it can feel like there's a lot of attention that's unwanted coming at you, or there may be a kind of critical attention that you give to yourself. And this is something that all Leos and all Leo placements, so that's everybody in different ways, has to deal with. So there's this feeling of self-consciousness that can be really uncomfortable. And that feeling of self-consciousness can thwart our natural expression. It can thwart our creativity. It can get in the way of authentic relating and honesty and courage. If we feel like we're being looked at in a way that we don't want to be looked at, or criticized in a way that we don't want to be criticized. And often, usually what's happening is we're actually doing that to ourselves. This kind of dynamic can lend itself so easily to enmeshment and codependency and weird, funky behaviors that we get into with all kinds of different people and groups of people, where we're trying to get some kind of validation and sense of security from other people. And that is something that Leo has been working this whole last, 14 years of Neptune in Pisces. That is what Leo has been working to extricate ourselves from. Over the last 14 years, if you think back to 2011, it has been a cycle of deep psychological uncording and unwinding from all kinds of ways where you get yourself into predicaments around unconscious enmeshment with other people. And a lot of this is looking for safety outside of ourselves. And a lot of it is feeling kind of unsafe inside of ourselves. So the ways that we want to remediate that and help ourselves grow and expand is to become expansively, like polyglamorous, right? Like we are in loving relationships in so many different directions. There are so many places where we can resource and receive nourishment and affirmation and validation. First direction, inside, from the center. We need to be able to give that to ourselves. After that, the sky is the limit, right? And it's not even, because we're working with astrology. So go beyond the visible sky and into the unknown of the atmosphere and space. There are so many relationships that we can connect with and enjoy. These are relationships in the more than human realms: plants, animals, trees, elements, planets, stars, suns, etc. These are also relationships in the human realms when we are not looking for security, safety, validation, etc. from other people, and when we can show up as ourselves with each other. And that means we can be vulnerable, we can be uncertain, we can be sensitive, we can appreciate other people's vulnerability and sensitivity and uncertainness and not need to fix it for them. There has been a lot of emotional unwinding and uncording that has been happening for Leos for a long time. And this transition from 2024 into 2025, and especially now into Aries season, is a remarkable transition. And this is a transition that ultimately is about liberation and true sovereignty in our bodies and in our spirits. Okay, Leo, so as we move into Aries season, there are a lot of influences that are asking us to really tune in with the ways that we get kind of messed up by us and them dynamics, by like polarity energies. And we really want to pay attention to when we project onto other people and when we perceive projection onto us, and not play the game of othering. This happens internally. So we have to recognize when we're doing that kind of thing. And this is a somatic awareness practice of noticing when we get up into our heads about things, when we start to feel armored, when we start to feel guarded or defensive or something like that. These are opportunities to breathe, to regulate, to feel our back bodies, to widen up in our expansive awareness, and to extend compassion to ourselves and to others without needing to like fix or change really anything about it. Just the being will often create the change that we are needing. On March 29th, it is a new moon and solar eclipse in Aries, and this is the last solar eclipse in a series of eclipses, or I should say it is the last eclipse in a series of eclipses that began in 2023 and have been occurring since then in the seasons and signs of Libra and Aries. These eclipses have had a lot to do with communication for Leo. There are ways of being that you have had to confront that are like people-pleasing, superficiality, and inauthentic performance that you don't want to do anymore. You are done. Over these last 2 years, you've had to confront those ways of being and move through them. This eclipse is one final opportunity for you to really feel your courageousness, your honesty, and your truth. If there are conversations that you need to be having with anybody in your life, or if there are ways of being that you need to be being in any area of your life where you feel like you could be just a little more honest, like you've been hiding yourself a little bit, now is the time to do it. You don't need to worry about protecting other people from your honesty. What you need to worry about is what happens if you're dishonest. And to be honest and compassionate requires you to love yourself. So I want to encourage you to think about the long-term outcomes of courageous honesty. If you are true to you, and if you really listen to what your heart is telling you about how you want to grow and where you want to go, and this means in your life purpose, in your work, with your body, with your health, with your healing, and with all of your relationships, if you follow that call, what will happen? Where might it lead you? Versus if you don't. If you, suppress it, or lie about it or just kind of try and do it without letting anybody know. Where will that get you? This is your one and only life, so make choices that the future you is going to be proud of. On March 30th, Neptune enters Aries. Over the course of 2025, Neptune will move in and out of Aries, and I talked about this a ton in your 2025 year ahead reading, so definitely listen to that for more information. But this is a very invigorating transit for Leo. This is a transit that really wants you to follow your dreams and to pay attention to what you are dreaming. Not all of our dreams are real right now, but if we become convinced that they are, we will make them happen. If we're dreaming dreams of, doom spirals, we're going to act like that's all that's happening. If we're dreaming dreams of avoidant fantasies, we're going to act like that's all that's happening. How can we dream in reality with the people who we are sharing the world with? How can we dream in imaginative ways, creative ways, and ways that really help us to build and travel and move in directions that we are longing to experience in this world? As we move into the month of April, there are some really dynamic and powerful new configurations and connections in the social landscapes that are starting to get lit up for Leo especially. And I want to say that if you are in any kind of position where you are a teacher or a guide or an advisor or an astrologer or doing things that have you working collaboratively towards some kind of shared ideals, this is such a powerful time for you to be in practice. This is definitely a time to remember that the highest intelligence is going to come through relationships. Collectivity and community are the places where the most brilliance abounds. We do not live in a world that needs more individualist heroes or something like that. We are really living at a time that is calling for collective consciousness to awaken and expand. When you can involve yourself in ways of being that help resonate on those levels, you also become stronger. You get more of what you need. So please, Leo, look for opportunities to connect with like-minded others or connect with people who are wildly different than you and figure out how to talk to each other. Create new languages, do things that are playful, engage with curiosity, try and build bridges across difference and across distance. These kinds of attitudes, behaviors, and longings really get you moving on your evolutionary trajectory and path. April 12th, we have a full moon in Libra, and this is also the day that Venus is stationing direct. So over the course of Aries season, we are working with Mercury and Venus retrogrades. They are both starting off in Aries, retrograding back to Pisces. That's where they station direct. Mercury is stationing direct April 7th, Venus on April 12th. They'll both be moving back to Aries over the next couple of weeks. And this is a feeling of, as I've already mentioned, radical, courageous honesty, really getting to the heart of what your personal truth is, and also anchoring yourself in personal resource so that you can be in your truth in loving and courageous ways in your relationships. This is also a period of time when a lot of you are working things out in kind of complicated, complex psychological or relational spaces in order to make your next moves. Some of these kinds of situations could have to do with money and shared finances or shared resources. Some of these situations have to do with more psychological entanglements or trauma. There are some folks who are really working actually with big, important endings and losses, and something needs to be attended to in order for this next chapter to open. So definitely make sure that you're giving time and space for that. And I'm going to say that the last couple days of March and the solid first half of April really wants this kind of attention. So don't rush. Really invest yourself with what needs your attention. This is kind of big breakup energy for some folks, and it's also deepening commitment energy. And you need to be able to discern which one you need. So if you don't want to deepen your commitment because you feel like you can't be your authentic self, it is the time to cut some cords. And if you feel that you can be courageous and you can show yourself and be in your authenticity and your relationships can support you with that, that will deepen the connection. That will make it more sustainable over time. The last week of Aries season, Mercury will be moving back into Aries and Mars will be moving into Leo. We have Neptune in Aries. And as we move towards Taurus season, which resonates for Leo on the fixed cross, a lot of momentum is starting to build. You are energized, you are bold, you are confident, you are courageous, you are on fire. Leo, use that fire wisely. If you enjoy my readings, I hope that you will hang out with me every week on Mondays. I teach a live class on Zoom from 8 to 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. You can always catch the recording if you can't make it live. Somatic Space is a space where we experiment with embodied approaches to the astrology of the week ahead. We use movement, meditation, and guided visualization, and we have fun. And these classes always leave me feeling so good in my body and also feeling really energized and equipped for the week ahead. Embodied Astrology has all kinds of things going on all the time. We are a virtual learning community and we're starting to do more in-person events. We have classes and workshops throughout the month. On March 22nd, we have a special event coming up with the astrologer Laura Chung. Laura is an amazing astrologer and a researcher. She's really interested in activism and the astrology of revolutions, and she's going to come talk to us about revolutionary astrological transits in history and how those cycles are manifesting so strongly in 2025 and the future, and some of the ways that we can engage with them and really use them for the best possible outcomes. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like this work. The number one way to support it is to engage with it. Leave me a comment if any of this resonated for you, and please share these horoscopes with any friends that you think might enjoy them. Your donations are also so helpful and really sustain the production of these free offerings. And you can find links to make a donation, sign up for a membership, or catch us for a class or workshop in the show notes below. Leo, I'm wishing you all the best in Aries season and beyond. Bye for now.